Named one of the Wall Street Journal's 10 best places to go in 2025, Traverse City is northern Michigan magic. Think sparkling blue waters, golden dunes, and of course, incredible food. This summer marks the debut of the Traverse City Food and Wine Festival, running August 20th through 24th. The event highlights both national and local chefs including Tyler Florence, Ji-Hae Kim, Mei Lin, and Kate Williams, and features ticketed dinners, a grand tasting tent, and wine tasting. Visit traversityfoodandwine.com for details. Recently in the show, we took a deep dive into the amazing world of Dijon mustard with help from our friends at Mai. Mai brings over 270 years of French craftsmanship to every jar of premium Dijon mustard. Since 1747, Mai has been perfecting the art of flavor, transforming everything from simple sandwiches to gourmet meals. Look for the "Oh my, it's a great talk about Dijon mustard" episode in the This Is Taste podcast feed.
Every store, no matter what the environment, represents what's seasonally available, and also hopefully new things that will activate some inspiration. And we're excited that we're continuing to accelerate opening stores and bringing great food to locations we never would have thought available.
This is Taste. I'm your host, Matt Rodbard. What a special episode we have today with Cathy Strange, Whole Foods Market's ambassador of food culture and a world-renowned cheese expert, buyer, and CPG tastemaker, among many other things. I invited Cathy to join me in a walk around Whole Foods' Columbus Circle location. I wanted to get her take on several categories, including beverage, snacks, and of course, cheese. We go over what's exciting her and how she thinks about the future of grocery. After the walk, she joins me in the studio to talk about her amazing career, which spans both the pre- and post-Amazon acquisition of nearly a decade ago. This is such an incredible episode. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Cathy.
This store has some great memories for me because I think it really created a visibility of what Whole Foods Market really is to a customer in a very vibrant marketplace that has a lot of food going on, but in different environments.
The Whole Foods Market at Columbus Circle opened on February 5th, 2004, and at the time was the largest flagship in New York City, spanning 59,000 square feet. Today, the location sits at the crossroads of Midtown office life and tourism, steps from Central Park, and packed with German tourists, publishing worker bees, and hedge fund executives, all looking for a quick spin around the hot bar or to pick up a can of their favorite probiotic soda.
And this is also one of our few stores that's below street level. We have one in Toronto also, but it's not typical for us. So really being able to manage traffic flow, to be able to show the innovation that we're doing in all the sections and just keep it alive and meet the needs of the customer, that's really powerful for us.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I didn't realize there's no windows here because we're like in this iconic building here. Does that pose a challenge at all to operate here?
It did pose a challenge when we first opened because it was so highly anticipated and because of the location. Being at Columbus Circle, iconic, south side of the park, it is just truly incredible. I was sharing with the store management that I happened to be here in our first 2 hours. Every single stair up and down had a person on it. So it was a really cool thing. We explored and initiated this new checkout system. And I think it's become literally a mandatory checkout environment for others.
This is the iconic Whole Foods self-checkout where you're getting the one of three colors. You're going into that aisle. You can go to self-checkout. You can go to the cashier.
And trying to make an expedited experience. If you're in here for food, as you pointed out, if you're the customer that wants to get in and out, or the whole shop, you're being taken care of in a way that, our service becomes a high level, as high quality as our food is. So
we're going to take a bit of a tour. Should we go walk around the store?
Let's do it.
Cathy walks us over to the sprawling specialty cheese counter with blocks of Jasper Hill cheddar and Hervé Camembert peeking out of the case. This feels like a second home for the grocery executive. Cathy has served on various cheese competition judging panels and is widely respected in the industry.
And I got to meet with you earlier this year, walk to the Fancy Food Show, and hear about your incredible experience with cheese. You were a real pioneer in bringing specialty cheese to Whole Foods, being an early employee and also just being a really well-credentialed cheese expert. So tell me about when you walk into a Whole Foods, what should general customers think about with this incredible selection of cheeses?
I'm glad you pointed it out. This is an incredible selection.
It's amazing.
And we process our cheese in-house. That means it comes in the whole wheel format. So you're getting the freshest, the highest quality. What's unique about this selection's probably over 500 cheeses in this service case. It's a very large case. And that's because this customer in New York City demands and understands cheese at a high level. So we have got to stay on the edge, keep them engaged, keep the cheese with the integrity that it is produced with. But what we think about is seasonality. So when I come in, if a team member is working on a cheese, I ask them what's their favorite. I may come in knowing what I want to buy. I also, looking at the cheese case, I think if I'm not going to use it within 5 days, I don't really want to buy it because I can come back and get fresh cheese.
Amazing.
So that's what I'm thinking about. So the way the cheese is set up, this is cut to your order, that full case. So that is literally 16 feet.
We're talking about the enclosed glass case versus the open air, so to speak,
Exactly.
cheeses.
And then we have cheese that are cut and wrapped, and our shelf life policy is very, very strict. And we would start with the cases laid out in a way that a customer can find it very user-friendly. So we have soft ripen, other words like a brie that a customer may understand. So you're shopping with fresher cheeses once they're cut. They have a shorter shelf life because higher moisture. Then we're into our blue set. We try and keep all the blues together because of the mold can spread if one is not careful. And then we go down to the other side with hard cheeses.
Incredible. So, Cathy, tell us a little bit about when you are buying cheese, because we're a buyer for years.
Yes.
You're the one who is making the connection between the local cheese producers all over the country, Vermont, California, New York State, with Whole Foods. When you're building that lineup of cheeses, what were you looking to do?
First of all, just looking for new and exciting things. And of course, the flavors have to be great. Does it duplicate what's already in the set? What's the latest, greatest? And for me, when I first started in my role as a global buyer, we had a disparity of different selections across the companies. So making sure we all had the highest level of cheeses, because distribution at that point was very difficult. There are so many more distributors now that can handle cheese through the system. So the priority was finding new products, making sure they're delicious, and getting the products to us in the best condition. So what we did, we started with Parmigiano Reggiano, which is one of the world's classic cheeses, but just making sure that we hand selected the Caseificcios, that we knew the animals were being cared for. We understood what farm that was or farms they come from, and truly just trying to establish a benchmark program around that, an American artisan. When I first started with buying cheese, I'm going to say there were probably not 150 cheesemakers in the United States. The very first festival I went to, we had the best of shows on a picnic table.
What state was that in?
In Seattle.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the first ever. The first ever was actually at Rutgers in 1969. So this was later. Having said that, the industry was not in a growth state. And when Whole Foods markets started expanding, I'm proud to say we brought the American cheese culture along with us, and the artisan cheese culture. And there are so many world-class cheese producers in the United States now that I'm really proud of, and our team members.
And I think the Whole Foods support in speaking with cheesemakers about Whole Foods, how you supported their growth and their survival in many ways by purchasing cheeses unconditionally.
It makes a difference, and we need to get those products in customers' mouths, because where else could they experience? I mean, we're in New York City, Maryland's not that far, but we have amazing cheeses at Firefly Farms. Oregon, really, Tillamook was a fantastic cooperative making cheeses, but the artisan industry was very minimal. Vermont, it's just been prolific and amazing cheesemakers. So when I was in North Carolina, there were 4 cheesemakers. There are 35 now.
Incredible growth. Before we leave the cheese counter, I have to put you on the spot just for our listeners. What are we buying? What's a good couple cheese? Give us you're looking at this selection in front of us in this New York City location, knowing that it won't be always the same cheeses, but give us a couple cheeses that you really dig.
Okay, a few of my favorites would be, we're over in the soft ripen case now. So Jasper Hill Farm, the Harbison. One thing I like about this is that the way they have different cellars for the maturation of the product, and you are able to taste the nuances of how this is aged from their cellars in every bite. And I love that. And they brought spooning cheeses modeled on Vacheron Montour in terms of the spruce rind. And originally, all the spruce rind was harvested right from their farm. So all the terroir was truly engaged.
I love their
there.
Willoughby, too. I've had that recently.
Oh, that Willoughby is amazing. Did you get the sake washed?
I sure did.
one?
I had a sake washed Jasper Hill cheese recently.
Fantastic.
I love that producer.
We head over to the fresh cheese section, which for some home cooks is one of the most common stops at the grocery store.
So just to share a few things about the fresh cheeses, because it's summer, you go lighter, you're going goat, you're going fresh mozzarella. When I first started in cheese, there was only 2 fresh mozzarella producers in the United States. And when we were buying from Leone, I
sure.
think they were making out of their garage.
Oh, amazing.
Basically. All of our Whole Foods Market fresh mozzarella is farmstead made. So there's really some great selections, and I say go light. The vegetables and everything that's coming into season, perfect pairing. It's not just tomatoes, it's asparagus, it's grilling onions. There's so many great things.
I'm glad you went that direction.
The Whole Foods cold drinks case is a frontline for discovery in the highly competitive ready-to-drink industry. Cathy gives us a peek into how Whole Foods thinks about their rotating offerings.
All right, we're in the ready-to-drink section. I wanted to ask you about this because this excites me tremendously. Yeah. Covering a lot of founders in this space, so to speak. There's a lot of innovation happening. It also, to me, shows trend really quickly, because I think these trends change like overnight, relatively speaking, where all of a sudden a probiotic soda is out, and we've got a new caffeinated adaptogen that's in. I think probiotic sodas are still in, but I'm just paraphrasing. So when you're thinking about this massive cooler section at Whole Foods, how are you buying these products and keeping up with the trends?
Well, this particular set, just for everyone listening, is a 20-foot set. So actually, rather small set, but it's grab and go as you're heading to the registers. And I think you've identified key trends. The probiotics are still in. Oh, yeah. They're just evolving within that. And also, one thing about a ready-to-drink set is the barrier to entry is, much more expensive, because so many different SKUs or positions can fit in here that they're rotating constantly.
Exactly.
And so it's a great opportunity for a manufacturing partner to think out of the box. Let me not be afraid. It doesn't cost as much as an investment normally. And then researching, you could turn it around much faster. So being able to get placement, because there are so many on a shelf, really reduces that. And the merchants who are the experts buying for the set are looking for the new thing, are looking for the local thing. And that's the way they're thinking about this business. So probiotics, yes. Also just identifying. You probably identify with what you buy, right? And what are you known as? Like, what's your favorite?
I really like mineral water personally. So if I'm finding like European mineral waters or like just with a lot of character of flavor, I'll go there. I think for me, I identify a lot with the cold coffee and the trends there, and the new incumbent brands in cold coffee.
One of the things that just wanted to point out, the Nugent, which you probably know this, Vietnamese coffee.
Yep.
But these partners are part of our emerging brands program.
Right.
So we identified them. Now they're in placements all around. And I come here and I see I know Slate's new. And
Slate's like a brand new, like you haven't seen Slate ever, and that's a brand new one. I see Liquid Death is down to 12 ounces. They're like bucking their tall boy status, which is interesting.
But that got them there, right?
It got them there, right.
And then we're still seeing some of the trends around pickle.
Oh yeah, the whole
with
pickle juice kombucha.
Exactly, and then seasonality, you're getting to see a lot with Health Aid, like what's the next new thing within that environment. But just the opportunity, even the way it rises, this is the way it was like 15 years ago, as you're seeing.
Before we leave drinks, let's talk about the ready-to-drink protein section, which, you have a pretty okay selection. It doesn't seem like you're leaning in as hard as most of our country. If you go to some sections, you'll be 30 SKUs, but you have a nice selection. What do you think about this idea of protein in the RTD?
I think protein in general is hot. Power up proteins, one of the big trends. So you're going to see it not only in the advertising. Protein will be on the front of everything. And I think, with our team that looks after this, they're going to be expanding to meet the needs of the customers as more customers want that.
Hopwater has been championed by Whole Foods since day one. It feels like that's really been iconic with Whole Foods.
I think we have such a craft beer following environment that getting introduced through that has really made it a really natural introduction, and we have an expansive set, not in this particular area, but in the other part of the environment. So here it's what's happening, what's fast, that a customer recognizes and going, and then we would see also innovative products in our unrefrigerated set.
We continue our walk to the unrefrigerated section of the store and land in the olive oils, which over the past couple of years as an industry has become a flashpoint for innovation, spiking demand, and mild controversy. Olive oil is big business for Whole Foods, who have been real pioneers for decades.
So we're here in the aisles. We're in front of a lot of olive oil brands, and really Whole Foods has been a place where I would say since in college when I was going to Whole Foods in Madison, Wisconsin, there was always unique olive oils there that were coming from Italy or produced domestically. The Frankie's 457 product has been at Whole Foods for a very long time. How do you think about your olive oil shelf in general?
Well, I think the process for the category merchants, which we have experts, actually the buyer for this set and who leads it is a olive oil sommelier and certified with that. But I think, as you pointed out and recognized in our Madison store, we've never been afraid to get things that we feel have high quality. I'm looking at Nunez de Prado, and that olive oil has been with us for over 35 years. But it was really hard to get in the United States. And now we see a whole area of products coming in from California. I think one that we're really excited about from the merchant perspective is the Graza, and I know you pointed that out, but what's kind of cool about this is it tells you when it's harvested, and this is what the customers are looking for, how they've evolved, that level of transparency, how many pounds of olives it takes, how to use it. I think what's unique is just being able to support that information being communicated in an effective and clean manner. Here's a couple of our new products, which is the box of Sizzle and the Frizzle, which is, we're doing that extraction with no chemicals. Everyone else is using chemicals to be able to extract. So this is really new for us, and we're excited.
What do you think about this pivot to these squeeze bottles? We wrote a great piece on Taste about a month ago that started with Andrew Benin at Graza, but now you look at all the legacy brands like California Olive Ranch. You see, Brightland Pizza Oil on the shelf. You see the Chef's Life, which I don't know much about this brand. I mean, it's interesting. There's like every week or two, there's a new squeeze bottle olive oil.
Well, I think once again, the sourcing of the bottles is easier to be able to get to market, might be a really good positioning. And the success of Grassa has made that availability. So personally, you know, if the olive is good and you take care of it and use it in a proper, you know, timeline, doesn't go rancid, you're going to have really good results. I do like the Balsamico set. This is our best value to quality in this whole set. 3-year matured, it's a PGI, and it's crazy, crazy good. You know, it's in the same saying, you can get Massimo Bottura's Via Menderidi.
Yeah. I had to ask Cathy about Whole Foods' view on water. Listeners of the show know that elevating both domestic and imported mineral water is a bit of a micro-theme here. And it was fun to see what Cathy is liking.
Cathy, you've taken me to my favorite section in all grocery stores is the water section. Mineral water from Europe is a real, you know, kink of mine, so to speak. And really, Whole Foods has done a nice job, as always, offering brand new domestic and European bottles. What's exciting you here?
For me, the Vichy Catalan has been one of my favorites from Spain. I first tasted this 35 years ago in London and been trying to get it in the Whole Foods ever since. And just because of the limited distribution, it's been difficult. And all of our stores as of last month.
Describe the flavor profile of Vichy Catalan.
Sexy, effervescent, and the minerals in the quality of it have this salt-like satiation to just renew your energy.
Great work.
What would you say?
I would say salty and has a cool bottle.
Okay.
That's my style. I mean, this bottle is iconic. If you've been to Spain, you've seen all sorts of Vichy waters on tables.
We weave our way to the condiment section and find out what Cathy thinks about the store's hot sauces, salsas, salsa machas, and chili crisps.
I always circle back to this, but I do continue to think that peppers not only being hot, but they're hot. They'll always sell, and you're getting such a unique variety. So I'm looking at this and thinking, hey, this started in Austin, the Yellow Bird. And then we have the Brooklyn barbecue. So, I mean, there's just so many things that keep on coming.
Yeah, we're in the hot sauce section, and I love the way that like brands like Bonchons has just exploded in Whole Foods. This was like an entry point. It's delicious stuff. Let's move over to this, I would call it the salsa and salsa adjacent.
Salsa adjacent.
Yeah,
I like
salsa
that.
adjacent, because I think we cook a lot. And Somos has been on your shelves for a while. I feel like this is a cool brand that I've been introduced to. Of course, you got Siete. You've got all the, I would say, some of the buzzy internet brands, but of course you also have Cholula too.
Cholula, of course, is classic, and you used to not be able to get it too many places, but really consistent flavor that has that historically made the same. Siete is such a great story, starting in Austin, and now you were talking about CBG, just going really wild. But just really what we're looking for in this set are clean flavors that you have when you're mixing it with anything, that it's holding its own against any type of protein and or what you're trying to achieve with it, like just really clean flavors. And that's what I look for.
So 10 years ago, you would think about chili crisp and you would have one brand, right?
Exactly.
You would have literally one brand. But now in 2025, we're not slowing down here, Cathy. There's so many interesting chili crisps from Asia. There's salsa macha from Mexico. And we love crunch. I know it was on your trend report that you published earlier this year. That crunch is big. So I think that's very cool.
It is, though, isn't it? I
so
mean,
true.
for me, food is crunch, the texture being that. And of course, the Momofuku products, for us, were the first to expand nationally within the environment. But that's such a special flavor. And there are so many companies that have been able to do it well and call it their own. So I really do think this is going to continue to grow and elevate the category.
I have to shout out Mother-in-Law's Kimchi, because this is a brand that I think 15 years ago launched at Farmers Market in Brooklyn, and now look at where they are. They're
Yes.
They've got incredible presence around the country. You guys have supported them tremendously.
I've got to try that one. I haven't had that one.
Yeah.
I do know still the hots, the honeys, the different spices. We're going to see more and more of this, and I think you're pointing out that this is probably one that's going to continue to expand.
Grow.
Of course, we had to stop by the snack section. I love snacks because they're snacks, but I find that looking closely at new snacking brands is a great way to explore trends emerging at lightning speed.
Cathy, we're looking at an entire aisle of snacks, and what I like about Whole Foods is you're always taking chances from the small guy. I feel there's always going to be at least one or two surprises, and of course some of the standards. How do you generally think about your snacking buying?
I think this is where we continue to innovate at a very, very rapid speed. And once again, the price point is one that you can keep it turning over, and the customers are in this aisle all the time. So I think there's so many unique things out here, and we were just talking about the spices. So even changing the way products are salted changes the entire
Completely
component.
good point. Thinking about not just the level of salt, but using nutritional yeast or umami products, or using different types of cheeses.
But just going through, like, even working with Epic around the pork rinds, because we worked with that company to introduce a lot of products, but then the opportunity to expand by using a core product to, once again, get protein.
Well, I mean, Epic is legendary for offering protein in different formats. And we're looking at a literal gas station snack, North Carolina. I'm sure you saw it on the shelf there, pork rinds. But here in New York City, it's in a very fancy packaging and rebranded as protein source.
Well, even sweet potato chips, we always were able to get those in North Carolina, but not everywhere else. But just seeing the expansion, I mean, look what's happened with popcorn just being the healthier snack and the way that's evolved.
Did you see that coming?
I only saw it coming when theaters were still very popular, how they were treating it and making it at the forefront of, like higher end popcorn, not the cheapest out there. And I think that not to the level it is, but I think it's actually consolidated and it's expanded in other ways with veg snacks, pita snacks, so many other different opportunities.
Well, you get a lot of mixed information about health, right? And I think you get into certain lanes where popcorn all of a sudden is bad. And like it's this snack that has more of whatever than veggie chips, but then it swings back. And then it's like, oh, well, all fats are okay. You can have anything. I mean, it's got to be difficult as a buyer to really follow these trends.
Well, and I also think with the expertise we have on the merchant team, not only following but creating, like knowing that we have commitments or that lentils are big, or that just the way to use heritage grains and new grains to be able to put them into a format that's familiar can create a lot of opportunities for a brand.
We head back to the store's iconic escalators for some final thoughts about the store visit.
Well, I love this tour. I feel we could chat all day in every aisle. Every SKU has a story.
That's true.
Let's regroup in a year. I want to, because we could think about a little bit of how things have changed. Let's come back here in a year. I think we'll do that.
I'd love to do that.
I appreciate it.
But the conversation didn't end there. We headed back to the This Is Taste studio to hear all about Cathy's career at Whole Foods and so much more. So much to ask you about your career. You're currently the ambassador of food culture at Whole Foods. But for years, you led a team of buyers, and we have many founders on the show who talk about getting into Whole Foods. So I want to talk a little bit about the buying process at Whole Foods. I also just want to talk about the current state of grocery. I mean, there's so many topics, pricing. We'll talk about Amazon, your strategic partner. But also, I want to talk from the jump. There's a smell. There's a smell at Whole Foods. I mean, you walk into a Whole Foods and it's like, that's Whole Foods smell. Cathy, describe the Whole Foods smell in your determination.
For me, it just translates to it activates your senses to be aware of delicious things are ahead. So when we walk into a store, traditionally you would walk right into produce where you have the aromatics coming off of the seasonal fruits. So I think that smell is number one. We work very diligently to have the freshest quality product. And also, we try and maintain a space that really shows it well. So that environment, we just want it to smell like good food.
It's very true. And I mean, here's my take. I mean, it's always positive. It's desirable because I'm smelling a counter. I'm smelling the meat counter. I'm smelling the fish counter. I'm smelling the produce coming in. If I'm lucky, I get a little whiff of coffee. I feel like there's always possibly some scented candle smell or like products that you would get at like a hippie grocery store or like a health food store, and it all kind of marries together. I would just say you're alive, and for me, when I walk in, I'm like, there's so much possibility. And again, this is not paid. I wanted to have this piece. I just love your work and you as a person. You're so knowledgeable, and I felt Whole Foods is so important to us as home cooks. We talk about it all the time on the show, how you cook from cookbooks or think about food. And Whole Foods is at the center of a lot of our lives when we're grocery shopping and discovering products from around the world.
Well, I think also we're a food journey. Every store, no matter what the environment, represents what's seasonally available and also hopefully new things that will activate some inspiration. And everything should be the highest quality and it should be natural the way food was meant to be. So we're excited that we're continuing to accelerate opening stores and bringing great food to locations we never would have thought available. I was in a store in North Carolina, and to think now we have stores in New York City and around the country and states I never would have thought possible is just amazing.
Well, Cathy, tell us about your journey with Whole Foods. You've been with the company for many years, and you've worked through the company from the store level to the corporate level, and now you're an ambassador, which is a cool title. I want to hear more about that. But how did you get your start at Whole Foods, and how did your journey begin just working shifts?
For me, it was accidental in some respects. I didn't grow up wanting to be a grocer, a natural foods grocer. I don't even know natural foods was in the conversation at the point I started. I worked in a restaurant, and when the restaurant closed, I really missed keeping up with the vintages. So I thought I'd go work part-time. I had a full-time job. So I started out as a part-time team member in the Chapel Hill, North Carolina store, and I was referred by a friend of mine. When I told her I wanted to do that, I said, I'd like to go work for this company. And she said, you'll have to wear a tuxedo. But I would recommend you go to Whole Foods Market where you can wear jeans. We have a knowledgeable staff there, and they'll be able to really guide you and keep you up to date. So that's how my journey began. And then I ended up managing the coffee in the area. Our store in Chapel Hill was one that we were hand pricing everything. It wasn't certainly the modern day get it and scan. And so what was unique about it is I think in my department alone, we had 16 PhD students, and we were all learning about food together. And we had the opportunity to taste high-quality food, and it was motivating and inspiring.
What year are we talking about? I think it's
92.
So you're at 92. You're in the Chapel Hill Whole Foods, and you're managing coffee. Great topic. Let's start there. What's the coffee? What's the coffee buying like in 1992 at Whole Foods?
The coffee buying back then, actually, we worked with a company called Allegro Coffee that was based out of Colorado. And Kevin Knox was the buyer there at the time, and he was one of the original buyers at Starbucks until they started getting very big. And he was very particular about his coffee. So I learned a lot about sourcing and tasting. And we basically owned the coffee market in Chapel Hill. There were no outlet multi-unit retailers that were coming in against us, and we were doing a lot of covers every morning. But we served fresh coffee, and we rotated it, and once it came in and opened, 7 days on the floor max and hand-pulled Chimbali machines. So we were really baristas before I even knew what that term was, I think.
And were you selling whole coffee at the time too?
We were.
Yeah.
And we rotated. So if it was the freshness mark was 7. So as it got to that, then we cooked it off in our cafe. So you had an experience of tasting coffee from around the world simply because we were fastidious about making sure our coffee was fresh.
What's it like coming from the restaurant world? You said you worked in restaurants to enter this world of, you got PhD students who maybe didn't work in restaurants but had a real interest in food. You've got probably a lot of industry people there. What's the vibe like in 92? In the store that you're working at?
I worked in a white tablecloth Northern Italian restaurant, so the vibe was all about service and also about the highest quality products. So trying to bring that service component into a retail grocery environment was really something that we all strive to achieve. And I think my background in the restaurant business, even though I worked back at the house, always made that a priority.
Yeah. So how did you move up in the company? I mean, you're working at this one location, and then you end up at the corporate level. Give us your journey from Chapel Hill to being in the more corporate level.
Interesting story. The person that hired me in the Chapel Hill store, we call them store team leaders, was the store manager. When she retired, she opened a dairy, and now we buy cheese from her.
Oh, wow.
My expertise was coming from wine and cheese in a Northern Italian environment. So that went from part-time, I went full-time, and then moved with the company to open the stores in Washington, D.C. under the Bread and Circus moniker. And that happened after the company, Whole Foods Market, went IPO. So we had a west to east profile starting in Texas, then Palo Alto, and acquiring all the way to the East Coast Bread and Circus. When we opened in Washington, D.C., we were Bread and Circus. And then I worked as the manager of a department in a particular store. Shout out to the Arlington, Virginia store.
Great.
And then ended up working as a regional manager. We called him a coordinator for the specialty department, which included adult beverage, cheese, specialty chocolate, and olives. Mm-hmm. And by the way, we source all of our olives to farm.
Yeah.
So we're really proud of that in our environment. And so I managed at that point in time 35 different stores and helped open about 20 along the way in that particular role. And then from there, I was the very first global cheese buyer in the company, hired by AC Gallo, who was based out of the Boston area, is just an amazing mentor. And from that point, then became vice president of specialty, and now back to food one-on-one with my current role, where I'm really proud that Jason Beekle, as he took over the CEO role from John Mackey, saw an acute desire and need to focus on food and our food culture, and that's who we are, and thus resulted in this position, which I'm very fortunate and proud to be a part of.
Remarkable journey, and anyone who's in the industry listening to our show knows who you are, because as a VP of specialty at Whole Foods, I mean, that's a massive job. It's an influential job also. You're leading the buying of specialty in this store that has such a massive footprint. You're changing lives, Cathy. What's it like being VP specialty and making that decision with your team to take on these companies? And second part of the question is tell us about some of these early companies you championed that may be household names today.
Well, also just believing in people, right? A lot of individuals have a great vision and entrepreneurial spirit and have great inspiration to do the best they can do every day, but the timing's not always right, nor do they always have the proficiency to be able to execute as a business. So our early growth within Whole Foods, we had the opportunity to give a lot of companies different chances, and in some cases repeated chances because we believed in the product so much. I love telling the story about Mary Keene from Cypress Grove, which is a goat cheese out in California. She said we were her biggest advocates, and the reason was we told her to increase the price. She was about to go out of business and didn't really understand how to handle the economics.
You're like, charge us more.
Charge us more because the product is worth that. And not to be afraid to do that if you have the quality to back it up. But I would say from artisanal cheese that so many of the names that are very well known now in the industry certainly had their start at Whole Foods and would acknowledge that. And then you look at also in Center Store, many of those products would say the same thing. So we're really proud of that as a company and having faith in people, and then people doing the right thing around products and creating together with us.
Yeah. Is there a CPG company that comes to mind that you championed early?
Well, I'm thinking right now, Siete is top of mind, right? Yeah. They just had the opportunity. So many different companies along the way, but small companies to large, and just also, if that's your dream, let us help you fulfill the dream along the way.
Yeah. Did you feel the pressure of making that right choice and the pressure to, when you're given 3 sourdough cracker SKUs to taste and you had to decide on one? I mean, that's a heavy choice.
It is a heavy choice, and at the end of the day, the customer ends up making the right choice. You can use all your intuition and understand the marketplace and understand the popularity of ingredients and or the integrity of how production takes place. But at the end of the day, the products has to sell. We are proud of also taking chances where there have been extraordinary circumstances where historic products were basically going to be on the verge of extinction, and getting a call, hey, we have 400 of these. If we don't sell them, we're out of business. Just being able to say, we'll take it. We believe in you. We will be able to execute this, and our partnership grows stronger with that faith so that we also become a priority to their business.
Is there an example that you have of a company that was on the ropes and you were like, we're taking all 400?
I would say the Kirkham's Lancashire. That cheese, a PDO cheese out of the United Kingdom, was one that I feel strongly that we helped their survival in a very tenuous time.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about cheese. In addition to your role at Whole Foods, you're a global cheese judge. You're in the industry, one of the most influential figures, serving on panels that judge all sorts of cheeses. How did you get into cheese? It's such a, incredible skill to be able to taste blind cheeses and rate them and grade them.
During my time in the restaurant business, I had the opportunity to learn a lot about Italian-style cheeses, and those products weren't widely available in the market in North Carolina. So it started there. But in the Wellspring grocery store where I started, that became a Whole Foods Market store, my first PDO cheese, learning about Emmentaler, and then just my mantra was to learn something every day, whether it be about cheese or wine, just to grow my expertise in the food world. That started, and then the opportunity to do trainings, travel and train directly at sourcing and learn from the cheesemakers, and then learn from consortios, and then learn actively from a lot of the representatives who definitely had more knowledge than myself at the time, and then trying to share that along the way. And I'm really proud of how we've been involved with developing our apprenticeship program around the Certified Cheese Professional program. And we're advocates for programs like that around expertise from the beginning. Yeah,
it's legendary when you work at Whole Foods. You have the opportunity to get certified within the store, which means you get extra education, you take courses, maybe even travel a little bit, and then perhaps, and you see this with Starbucks as well, perhaps open your own thing, eventually leave Whole Foods and start your own thing with that education. That must be gratifying that you're fostering education within the company.
One of our mantras is team member development, learning and development, and we want our team members to learn every day. And that's part of my role now, is just to be able to educate, engage, and inspire the team members. So with our apprenticeship program, we do that in several categories right now. We do it in produce. We do it with pizzole.
Yeah.
We do it with butcher and bakery. And with that also becomes, not only are you an expert, you are rewarded and compensated differently. And with our advanced programs like Certified Cheese Professional, you even achieve a different level, and the compensation goes along with that. So we want you to be motivated. We want you to learn.
Yeah.
And that's, you own that. We don't own that. And it's the rising tide in the industry creates good things for all of us.
Yeah, it's a great point. What's the Pizzaiolo program like? I mean, if you're certified as a Pizzaiolo, meaning you're making pizzas in the store and selling them either in a cafe setting, or I'm sure there's other formats. What's the training like?
The training could be up to, you have to be a Whole Foods Market team member in good standing. Obviously, we want to invest in you if that's the case. And then it's a 12-week-long program where you're learning about all the specifics with regard to, number one, make a consistent, high-quality product. That's what our customers expect, and we want to be able to train you to do that, and then for you to pass on the knowledge. So that's skills that are taught by individuals within that environment to create the highest level of expertise.
So they're taught within the store. So you bring in an instructor for that 12-week program.
And they could be a part of the team because that person on the team may already have that expertise. So we have a team member learning and development team that also facilitates. And then we have operational leaders that are also experts that are involved. So it depends on the area that you are an apprentice in, where the skill set would be, the training would come from.
I want to pivot and just ask you about the customer of Whole Foods. And you started in the early 90s. How has the customer changed over time? I mean, I have to imagine, particularly after the Amazon acquisition, how did the way customers interact with Whole Foods change?
I think the customers have a level of trust with Whole Foods Market that makes the relationship significant. It's not just a one-way relationship. They're very open to providing feedback, what they want, and they also vote with their dollars every day. So I think also the transparency and the expectation from the customers is very high and continues to grow the more that individuals are exposed and learned. I think about the new generation, everything that they understand about food at a very young age just translates into the expectations they have from us every single day. Our relationship overall is based on trust with our customers. So as long as we keep the food the highest quality and meet the needs, I think together we'll be successful. Are
you surprised by how much people know about food right now when you talk to customers who walk in? I mean, food is everywhere, and I think listeners of the show are listening because they're just generally interested in everything from chefs to new products to new restaurants. So there's been a sea change since the 90s, and obviously it's benefited places like Whole Foods to have real passion for it. I'm amazed, actually, that the level of knowledge at such a young age, and then the broadness of knowledge as individuals learn more. I remember when I worked in the Washington, D.C. store, I certainly did not know as much about cheese that I know decades later. And I learned from ambassadors, like 2 countries that asked me about cheese. And there was only really one book on the market at that time. So really learning, it was a smaller circle of
learning and mentorship. And the customers now, you could be teaching someone at a counter that's sitting next to you. And I always ask, where did you learn this? What's your favorite products? And the team members and the customers really enjoy sharing that information.
Yeah. Well, Cathy, the shadow of Amazon, it looms over Whole Foods. And there are many people who quote unquote want Whole Foods to be back to the before times, before the acquisition. I'm definitely not one of them. I think it's clear if you walk into Whole Foods, the innovation, the accessibility, the pricing is exactly where I want to be. And I feel it's a net positive. That's my personal opinion. Many will disagree. Some will disagree. What do you say directly to the skeptics who think of Whole Foods as truly just part of Amazon and Amazon Prime?
It's an interesting question because there are still so many people that are not aware that Whole Foods Market is a part of the family of Amazon. I think during the pandemic, and I keep going back to this, we were able to provide delivery to your home of high-quality products to help all of us navigate that time. And that partnership wouldn't have been available had it not been a part of the Amazon family. And I think we've learned a lot from the Amazon partners, and they've learned a lot from us. And I have 100% faith that our team members will continue to innovate and be inspired in a way that will propel Whole Foods Market ongoing. We're excited about our growth opportunities. We're excited we've had the opportunity to invest in prices with the Amazon partnership and also be able to grow our business in a way that I think John Mackey had a dream that he wanted to have multiple outlets. And there are so many evolutions along the way that have helped us to achieve that, and Amazon's one of those.
Yeah. Well, let's stick with pricing because there's a perception versus reality thing happening here. And I think the old timers will think of Whole Foods as being premium and having premium pricing. I think the Amazon acquisition definitely led to a real strategy to get prices down, to make it feel like it's a daily driver for your groceries. And of course, this is all in a world where inflation and just grocery costs are escalating rapidly. So how is Amazon helping Whole Foods keep the prices low? And what is the reality with the pricing structure and the costs of these products at Whole Foods?
The investment that Amazon has enabled us to provide to the customers translated to over or around 25% of the products that we offer in any specific environment to be at a cost that our customers should have a great awareness, provide good value for the quality of the product. And I think that was very important because of the perception that high-quality products are out of reach for many. I think you always pay for the quality of a product, and agriculture costs are high, and honoring the cost being what it is also a recognition that everyone should have. I think we spend the least amount for our money for many countries for products that are so high quality. And by working in the Amazon environment, giving us the ability of that investment to really communicate our position around that has leveraged our opportunity to create awareness of other values that weren't being recognized, because one might get caught up in a product price of a certain item and think that's the way it is across the entire store. So I think we've been able to navigate to a perception where you could come and shop with us as a daily shop and have the highest quality products in any environment. Mm-hmm. We're really proud of that.
How are you dealing with inflation, though? I mean, it's clearly, even with this strategy of lowering prices 25% and having real value, because I agree, if you walk into Whole Foods, there's lots of prices that will beat Walmart and the key foods of the world. There's no doubt, at least in urban markets where I shop. But still, the prices are going up. I mean, it's a big, and we're not just talking about eggs here. We're talking about everything. How do you think about that on the corporate level, about this time where the grocery bill is just higher, frankly?
And we're not lowering prices 25%. Prices across the store, 25% of the store were lower.
Got it. Thank you for
So
making
if we
that
have
clarification.
100,000 items in a store, which would be an average size, if you think that would be a lot of items, that wouldn't be the exact cost reduction. Having said that, I think that we're all in a situation where we're having to navigate all of the impact of whether it be the impact of costs because of aviary flu or other natural disasters, climate change, the impact of that and shorter growing cycles, also hurricanes. I think of all the things that have really impacted food cost. It's not one specific thing, but having the awareness of that and being able to leverage the partnerships to provide products that meet the needs of the customer, I think that's what's important. And just having the awareness to be able to have partnerships that we can navigate until we're clear about what the direction is. Everyone's concerned about inflation, whether it's in food costs or housing costs or car costs, whatever that may be. I think we all have a greater sensitivity and awareness around it at this point in time.
Yeah, great sentiment there. And I think there's no solution, right, when we're talking about all of these factors, particularly climate change. So we know that the growing seasons are getting shorter. We know whole crops are being lost, and ultimately the yields are down, which raises price inherently. So something to always keep in mind, listeners, when you're shopping, it's not just the big tariff word, which is thrown around a lot. There's a lot of other factors that affect the grocery store pricing. I want to ask you about the new Whole Foods Market Daily Shop, which is just opened in New York. A big move for Whole Foods to kind of think about where you can slot these stores into unique spaces that maybe couldn't hold a full footprint, and thinking about Whole Foods as a quicker place to shop. I've not been yet, as of this recording, and I look forward to visiting because I think it's a cool way to think about retail and especially in places like New York City. How did you develop this shop idea?
Well, I think it was just natural evolution. Whole Foods Market had been experimenting with other types of shops and formats. We had very large formats in the Atlanta area, for example, and we had experimented with smaller shop formats that the expectations of the customer, it didn't really meet their needs. But this daily shop really geared to the convenience factor and being in my neighborhood. I want to get in and out. I have expectations on the certain quality of food I'd want. And I can't wait for you to go in.
Yeah.
They're not terribly large, but they're large enough to meet the needs of the customer in that environment. And the assortment is geared towards that customer in a way that we're really proud of. So I can't wait for you to get into one.
Yeah. So take us through an experience when you're walking in. What are you buying at a daily shop that you maybe aren't seeing at a full Whole Foods?
I think you're buying everything that you see in a daily shop. You may see in a Whole Foods, but you're more focused on it, right? If there's a table of fresh raspberries, you're going to notice that because there's not 20 tables of things as would be in a larger shop. So we're focused really on having seasonal availability, high priority products, and shopping. If you want a fresh loaf of bread, that's there. And what do I want from produce to cook? And what cuts of meat do I want? We're not going to have the butcher there that's going to further process or someone behind the cheese counter, but our goal is to have an assortment that meet the needs of the customer and still have that new creative product, maybe the new dessert, the new soup, the new health product that you want, and you can get in and out.
And I imagine you're thinking about people who just want to buy dinner, who really just want to pick up a bunch of products and cook dinner, or either just have a great pre-made meal.
Or even a snack like you were talking about when we were on the floor, right? Just having something quick and easy and know it's healthy. And you're not picking up something that has a bunch of additives. So just being in a position to provide and service the needs of the customer in that environment. We're really excited about the opportunity to open a lot more of these to be able to meet our customers' convenience needs where they are and have the highest quality product.
Well, I want to close and ask you about
I think it's a pretty cool part of your job is you take executives, your colleagues, including CEO Jason Buchel, around the world, and you kind of show them your world, Cathy. You take them to producers, you take them to restaurants. It's got to be pretty fun.
Oh, it's great. Taking anyone, but it's no, I'm a part of Jason's world. This program In the Field with Jason was created to provide team members the opportunity to meet Jason and Jason to really show who he is and his commitment to agriculture. So Jason grew up in Wisconsin. His grandparents were dairy farmers. His dad was a cheesemaker, and he's really in tune to the land and the culture of food. So I had the opportunity to be a part of a trip in the field with Jason, and we went to Italy. So I had that opportunity to share so many of the wonderful experiences through my history in Italy with 16 of our team members that were from our stores.
Yeah.
And to be able to say, the Parmigiano Reggiano that you offer the customers in your stores, we're going to get the ability to see that being made. And the Italian sparkling water and the balsamic vinegar, that was quite an experience. And then just to share a meal with someone, the knowledge and the rapport that one gains is not to be minimized, because even when we were together briefly in Las Vegas, had we had a meal, it would have been a whole different experience. So I think that type of sharing and connection also provides the ability for the team members to understand Jason's commitment to the highest level position in the company and also leading a worldwide grocery for Amazon, that ongoing commitment to agriculture and our products, our producers, and staying in touch with that.
I mean, what are you guys talking about when you have like team members at different levels and you're in Italy and you've got some wine flowing, the truths are coming out? What are you guys talking about?
We're talking about the food and talking about, wow, there's a face to a product, and understanding that food is a culture, especially in Italy. You've been to Italy, so you know, and so many parts of what we're trying to create in Whole Foods Market is to bring that culture of food and respect for food to an environment and a shared space, and really inspire the team member and the customers to really continue to explore with us.
Do you have any more trips planned?
Yes, we have one in Iceland that's going on. So everyone is very excited about that. And a few more we're announcing. And one thing we're doing, we're taking it further, is that our operational areas are also doing trips to areas where farms in their, for example, there was one, a trip to a farm right out of Pittsburgh. And that really resonates because if a team member's in the store, they may not have that opportunity. So the ability to really share that with the leadership and meet a leader of a company that maybe you only see them on conference calls or in an email communication really creates a level of loyalty and trust and a sincerity around we are food people and we care about the farmers.
Well, I love this conversation, Cathy. I love the tour as well. Thank you so much for joining This Is Taste.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. I look forward to doing a daily shop with you.
This Is Taste is hosted and produced by Eliza Barbanel and me, Matt Rodbard. The show is edited by lead producer Clayton Gumbert and supervised by Pat Stango, Director of Media Production and Development at Penguin Random House. Thanks to Shalia Harris and the production team at Penguin Random House. Theme music by Steve Rydell. Logo and guest illustrations by Ellie Skurzat. Visit Taste online at tastecooking.com and make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to keep updated on all cool things in the world of taste.